Clarence Kennedy, Abijev. We are going to kill Kapakula, Grizzly. Yeah, you mean God. If there was a Z tier, I would put Liver King there. Words cannot really describe how much Max has meant to me. I have the utmost respect for that because that is something that I don't know that I could pull off. Ladies and gentlemen, actually just lady and gentlemen, we will be doing a fitness legend tier list today. And before we get started, all of these people on the list, besides maybe a couple of them, I think of as legends. So just being on this list, right? No matter where they end up ranking, they're, up there. So, some of them I'm going to have to put in the D tier, some of them the C tier and the B tier. That doesn't mean that they're any less of an icon or a legend. It's just, my understanding of them or how I like to picture them. So let's get started. Number one, we got Alan Thrall. Now, I'm going to put Alan in the A tier. I have a total bias for Alan. If you guys haven't seen some of the content that we've made, I've done some videos on his channel. He's done some videos on my channel. I went out to visit him and, me being like a lesser channel than his, he welcomed me to his gym with open arms. He opened up his schedule completely for me. He picked me up from the airport. The dude is literally, he comes across as very nice on his channel. He is very nice. Beyond that, he's a natty, fitness guy. I think as far as strength and conditioning goes, he's one of the best people to look up to as far as attitude towards training. He's a family man and he just does things the right way. So I got to put him in the A tier. All right. Next we have Alexi Khel, and I got to be honest with you. I'm going to put him in the D tier. He is the coach of the legendary Team Astana. So Alex, if you want to put a picture of Team Astana there, that entire team was popped, obviously, but they, created one of the coolest training halls I've ever seen. Ilyin, obviously the most famous of the bunch, did the most legendary training lifts ever. He's also done the most legendary, competition lifts ever. I just always saw Alexi Khel as this kind of doormat figure, kind of a cheerleader, a yes man, which is exactly what Ilya needed. I think that there was a little bit of drama between Team Astana and then the Kazakhstan federation, their weightlifting federation. So Ilya had to kind of create this team on his own, and Alexi Khel was the coach. When in reality, I think these guys kind of did whatever they want, trained their asses off, gave off very Bulgarian style, very Bulgarian team vibes. Next, we're going to go with Arnold. And I'm going to put him in A, but here's the thing. He could move up to S. Okay? I'm going to put him in A. He could move up to S. The only reason he's in the A tier is because I don't personally look up to bodybuilders like the way that people who were older than me do. I think, as far as fitness goes, early on and in magazines, people that lifted weights, primarily it was size. It was size and it was physique based. It was very much about how you looked. And the one thing I could say about Arnold is he seems to be the antithesis of the typical bodybuilder today. And the reason I say that, if you look at these bodybuilders today, they're kind of this geeky, anxious creature that doesn't sleep well, takes a ton of drugs, is absolutely neurotic about what they eat. Whereas Arnold seemed so free and he seemed so positive about his life, and he had this charisma. Now, it allows you to have a lot more charisma and a lot more, machismo when you are the best. And he was absolutely the best. He knew it. And I'm sure he had his flaws. I'm sure there were people that would think otherwise. People that may have knew him, may have hated him. But that's what I respect about Arnold. He had this, movie star quality about him. And I think that ultimately led to a lot of his success, his mentality, the whole idea of I'm coming at home when I'm with my wife and I'm coming in the gym. He really fucking loved what he did. Whereas I see a lot of bodybuilder types, talking about how much torture they go through and how difficult and how shitty everything is that they do. So yeah. All right, up next we have Benedict Magnus, and I want to show you guys. So Benedict Magnuson and this 1,015-pound deadlift without a suit. 1,015-pound conventional deadlift without a suit. I believe without a suit. I'm almost positive. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing stuff. I think, if you all things considered, you have Thor and you have Eddie Hall, and they had straps and a suit on. I don't want to begin that debate. It's just mind-numbing. That shit. I can't deal with it. So I'm going to put him in B because of that lift. Guys, this is a high ranking, okay? This is definitely a high ranking. This next one, this guy's Big Lenny. I don't know enough about the dude. But I think it's like, if I'm not mistaken, he had like serious GH gut, which is like that. I think it's called palumboism or something like that, where you get this just massive gut, and it's really, really gross. Happens to bodybuilders. I think it also occurs when they take insulin. I don't know enough about the dude, so I'm going to put him in D tier. We got Blahino, Jason Blaha. I have not kept up with Blaha much at all. He is an absolute meme on this site. But I have respect for his hustle. So we're going to go with C. Chad Wesley Smith, I'm putting in the A tier. That's totally a bias, having worked for Juggernaut and having him be probably my biggest influence getting into strength and conditioning. When I was an intern at Northwestern University, my first assignment was to figure out the relative intensity of the entire Juggernaut method squat program. The Juggernaut method, and then also the scientific principles of strength training. Those are some of the most influential books, in my opinion. If you're going to read anything about strength and conditioning, I truly, truly believe the scientific methods of strength and conditioning it's simply like the most eloquently put, easy to understand way to have a base of knowledge so that you can create programs, or at least you can understand what's happening when you look at well thought out periodized programs. Clarence Kennedy. Look, he's a friend of mine, and I want to give him a ton of shit just for that reason. I just want to but in all fairness, like, there is no one, I honestly think there's really no one, as far as the internet goes, who has more notoriety than this dude in Olympic-style weightlifting. So I'm going to have to put him on the Mount Rushmore. Clarence, you lucky bastard. It's either Mount Rushmore for you, or you're down there with Alexei Nee and the dude with the GH gut. There's no in between. You understand? If you're watching it, Clarence. Dan Green, I'm going to put him in B tier right next to Magnuson. Total legend. Absolute legend in the sport. Super jacked. George Lehman, 800 pounds for 8 reps. Get out of town. So he pulled 900 at 23 years old in 2015. He's a big boy. And, it's conventional. 800 for 8. I can't even believe I just said that. Oh, I love the quad shake at the top. What a monster. Okay. As impressive as that is, I don't find it as impressive as Benedict and Dan Green's lifting. It's a damn shame that Blaha is next to that. You know what? I'm sorry. I got to move him down. I can't. Dude does 800 by 8. He's not going to go next to Blaha. All right. Next we have Ilya. Okay, this is too easy right now. Look at me just fire through this. Oh, yeah. Kapakulik, Grizzly. Yeah, you mean God tier. Come on, forget about it. Iron Mind, A tier. For fuck's sake, if you guys fucking subscribe to any channel, subscribe to Iron Mind. Okay? Educate yourselves on some golden era weightlifting. That's all I got to say. There's also some other channels. Alex, I forget which one it is. It's like WL something. I know you're going to find it. You're going to put it there. Those have some insane videos from the 70s, 60s, Iron Mind, 80s, 90s. Randy Strawson with the greatest commentary ever. Oh, looks like we got 210 kilos in the bar here. And, you know, guys, just so you understand, this is just under 500 pounds here. So this is just, a walk in the park for these guys. Something like that. Yeah. So next, Abijev. Honestly, for me, Abijev fluctuates from A and B tier. I'm going to put him B tier. Rest in peace. He basically took weightlifting and said, all right, if this is what we do, we are going to kill these gentlemen. We're going to kill them with this. That's it. It's like kind of a war of attrition. It's like, all right, well, if this is the fight that we're making, we are going to leave no stone unturned. And for those of you that don't know, the Bulgarian system of training only exists in likely Sofia, Bulgaria, with Abijev watching. Okay, if you want to replicate it, you might be able to if you have a coach that will send you to the factories or the mines. If you don't go to maximum 3 times a day in the front squat, the snatch, and the clean and jerk, sometimes the pulls. That is what you do on the Bulgarian team. And it's for Olympic weightlifting. So, this term Bulgarian lifting was bastardized in the early 2000s. Things like T Nation and a lot of bodybuilding magazines were like, oh, this is the Bulgarian style training. It's like, no, it's not. But yes, absolute legend, has to be on this list. Now, Genova. Now listen to this, everyone. I don't care. I'm going to let the whole minute 30 play. Listen to this, because it's the best fitness advice you've ever heard.
Lower body, you got a problem building your lower body. You got an upper lower body, you got the upper body, the lower body, and it's hard to build the upper body. If you have the lower body, it's hard to build the upper body. If you have the upper body, it's hard to build lower. So
it's true.
Lower helps. Like I said, you have the lower body and you have no upper body.
Yep.
You got a problem building. Wait a minute. You have an upper body and you have no legs. You have an upper body, you have no legs, you got a problem building the legs. You have the lower body and you don't have the upper body, it's easier to build. So if you have the lower body and you don't have the upper body, it's easier to build the upper body. You have the upper body and you don't have the legs, you got a problem building the lower body.
Yeah.
No, you don't understand. You have the upper body, but you don't have the lower body. You got a problem building downstairs. You got the legs on the bottom. It's easy to build the top.
Look, like I don't think enough people are talking about that. And to be quite frank, this man is a hero for bringing it up. And way before way before his time, mind you. This is 2013. Nobody was talking about this then. So I got to recognize him. We're going to put him in the A tier. All right, John Bros. Look, John Bros. John Bros tried his best to basically say, look, this is what's happening internationally. And what is happening internationally is drug use. But what's happening in the United States is not drug use. There's hard training internationally, and, there's hard training here in the States, but you just can't, the space is too vast without drugs. Now, he's had quite a few lifters be popped for steroids. There's a lot of theories around that. But he gave it his best effort. There are coaches in the U.S. that despise him for this. There are coaches in the U.S. that love him for this. I'm going to put him in the C tier. But if you guys have ever checked out, Pat Mendez, who, by the way, is on this show on TLC. I forget what it's called. Oh, 90 Day Fiance. He's also an 800-pound back squatter in the United States, or was, and he was popped twice, ending his weightlifting career. We got Juji Mufu, another friend of mine. I'm going to put him in the A tier. And you know what? Yes, I'm going to put him in the A tier. Friend of mine. Right now we've got, as far as people that I know personally, Alan Thrall, Chad Wesley Smith, Juji Mufu. These are all people that have been so fucking nice to me. I cannot tell you guys these are good people. These are good people. That's all there is to it. Juji had me over to his house, fed me a bunch of meals, always wanted to make content. It was just a class act, man. Really, and something that I look up to in him is his routine, and his just love for it. He just fucking loves training. He just loves it, and I can't, I cannot deny that. We've got Klokov. Now, Klokov, I'm going to put in the B group, which is still high, okay? But I do feel like he fits next to Abijev. For me, Klokov is, for many weightlifters, Klokov is like their entrance into YouTube weightlifting. And if you were around weightlifting in like 2013, that's where Klokov was doing these vlogs. And there wasn't really much weightlifting content at that time. And, he's jacked, he's good looking, and he lifts a ton. He also does crazy stuff. I mean, the most insane, without question, is the pause snatch at the knees. So, Dmitry Klokov, B. Now, Koklayev, for me, is going to be A tier. Because in my opinion, he's got to be higher ranked than the B tier guys. The reason for this, he excelled in 3 sports, weightlifting, powerlifting, and strongman. I've done a couple videos with Koklayev in it, and he is an absolute legend. If you guys just look up some of his stuff on YouTube. If there was a Z tier, I would put Liver King there. I know I keep saying that I won't talk more about Liver King, but I've got to do it, man. He came onto my channel, or he went on my channel and put in a canned response denying his use of steroids. And, he was just recently featured in GQ, and it was just fucking nauseating. It's just nauseating. His denial of steroid use and then his promotion of health and fitness, here's the biggest issue, okay? When someone says, he never says anywhere that you can look like him. Okay, fine. But he is nothing without the body that he has that is absolutely enhanced by steroids. Okay? If you think that this guy is as viral and or successful as he is without the body that he has gotten from obvious use of androgens, then you are out of your fucking mind, okay? And he continually denies this. The funny thing is, Joe Rogan immediately, what's your thought of Liver King? He's just like, this is a guy who takes a lot of steroids up his ass. Just injects a lot of steroids. That's it, right? That's so. Obviously, Liver King is big enough and well-known enough. He has a book out. He could absolutely get on the Joe Rogan podcast. And here's the thing. Joe Rogan immediately is going to talk to him about steroids. So he won't do it. So, look, I've talked a lot about Liver King. I'm starting... my patience is starting to wear thin. I started with a ton of nuance. I started with the idea of questioning whether this dude is if what he's doing is causing more harm than more good. But now I just don't have time for him. He's going to absolutely be the lowest ranked on this by far. Andre Melindachev will go on the B group. Okay, I think this is fitting. You know, these guys that do massive lifts they're not, in my opinion, just like they're not up as high as the other guys. These guys, Melindachev, because of the lifts that they've done, I think that the B tier is really, really good for them. Melindachev, I think, here, check this out. Yeah, 440 with wraps, and then he does the world record. I think I've watched this lift. Yes, I have, because I remember the spotters here. 440 by 3. Really quick, check this out. The squat looks amazing, too. Like, it's a good-looking squat. Really balanced use of the legs. Kind of, yeah. Get out of town with that, all right? So he goes in the B tier, obviously. Matt Fraser, I will put him in the... I've kind of had a hard-on for Matt Fraser because he represents weightlifting in probably the most popular sport as far as strength sports goes, and that's CrossFit. That's where we're at, guys. It absolutely is, I think, the most popular as far as the consumer base goes, flourishing consumer base that is just ravenous, really. I'm going to go with the B tier here. I really, really do. Like, I've been a fan of Matt Fraser's for a long time. Before he really started winning, I had seen a video of him before he had made the games for the first time, and I remember being like, this guy is going to be amazing. Max Ada, right up there with the boys. Max, words cannot really describe how much Max has meant to me in strength and conditioning and in weightlifting. I remember the first day I emailed him. I was looking for some guidance because I had basically been doing this myself, and I never looked for a coach or someone to just like implement something. And the first time I was able to talk to him on the phone, he blew my mind with his ideas around training. Max is someone who forever changed my life in general, and I continue to talk to him to this day. I can't say enough positive things about Max. For real. Dr. Mike Israetel, I'm going to put him at C. However, he's another one of those guys that I've spoken with. I think I've spoken with. I'm not sure. What I really like about what he did was the way that he made Joel Seedman look on that one podcast episode. And I talked about this. He did a fantastic job of putting Joel Seedman in a pretzel himself. He didn't really go at him. Maybe he could have gone at him a little bit harder. I think I would have. But he did a really good job of making Joel Seedman contradict himself, pointing at himself as, basically just eating himself with his own arguments. So for that, I respect the shit out of him. He's going C tier though, mainly because it's just, I don't consume that much. You know what? No, he's going B. Because I compare them to the guys in the C tier. He's going B tier. Absolutely. Perfect fit, I think. Now, Mike O'Hearn, or Mike O'Tren, he's going to go D. And again, guys, I'm not ranking these, as far as I should maybe put earlier, whoever's, you know what I'm saying? Like re-rank them or reorganize them on each tier, but they're not in order on the tiers, just so we're clear. Not in order on the tiers, just so we're clear. Right. Mike O'Tren, do not care for him at all. I think he's memeing when he says he's not on steroids, but whatever. Pete Rubish, I will put him in the B tier, mainly because he just reached out to me and seems like a f***ing class act. I remember watching a Pete Rubish video, and it's a progression video from when he was a teenager. Obvious steroid use, and I think he's very open about his previous steroid use. I also think he's taken the risk of going completely off drugs. If so, that is the craziest shit I've ever heard. To go from taking a ton of drugs, not just TRT, not just some peptides, but taking a ton of drugs for his sport, for lifting, to then being sober and continuing to pursue the sport in some capacity. I have the utmost respect for that, because that is something that I don't know that I could pull off. I really don't. I'm going to put Piros, and this is going to be shocking. I'm going to put Piros in the A tier instead of on Mount Rushmore. He has not had, he is an absolute legend in this sport. But I just, there's just a little bit missing, I can't quite put my finger on it. He is the USAW director or something, a technical director, or head coach, actually. He might be the head coach. But yeah, guys, up in A tier, you're a f***ing legend. I shouldn't be saying more negative stuff. He's a f***ing legend. All right, Rich Piana, obviously going to go in the S tier. That's not even a f***ing question. Next. Actually, not next. I always think about the Daniel Tosh interview with Rich Piana. He's incredibly honest about how silly it is, what he does. Again, this is so silly, this parasocial relationship that we get with these guys, but he just seemed like a good guy. And maybe he wasn't, but I don't know. Maybe I've just been memed with him so hard that I love him now. Rest in peace. Rich, man, we miss you. We really do. All right. Matthias Steiner. Now, he goes here because his story of the Olympic gold medal that he won is the greatest story in Olympic weightlifting history. I can absolutely say this. If you guys get the chance, please go to just search Matthias Steiner, and there's a video that explains this story. I don't want to spoil it for you, but you must go watch this shit. Okay? It is the best story in Olympic weightlifting history. That's it. Thor, I'm going to put him in the C tier only because I asked him to take a picture with me at the Arnold. He was like outside of the venue. He seemed really pissed off, but I looked super ugly in it. And I think he was purposefully looking the wrong way. Up next, we have Alexei. He, for me, is going to go in the A tier because he, for me, was probably, one of the most influential as far as technical ability in the snatch and clean and jerk goes. A long time ago, I went to his seminar. I posted a YouTube video about that. And then later on, I met him like more personally at the Anaheim World Championships in 2017. And, this is really funny. He and I weren't very close at the time. And I knew he was going to train at the Aleco platform at a certain time. I just knew he was going to be there, so I planned it out to make it seem like, oh, I'm training here at the same time as you. This is part of the grind of what I tried to do. Like, oh, wow, I'm here with Alexei randomly. Got my camera, but we ended up getting content, and it was like, being able to lift with one of my heroes at the time. A lot of his ideas around snatching and clean and jerking, mainly around contact, have been an absolute staple in the way that I teach the snatch and the clean and jerk. So for that, I'm forever grateful, and he is in the A list. Worm Chad, he's going to go in the B list, but I'll tell you what, I've been talking a lot about lifting with the Roundback, and I think he commented on my Roundback videos. But, here's a guy who just lives it. Just goes out there and lives it. And Alex has a screenshot. He had 999 followers, and Alex was the 1,000th follower. So he's in the B list. Up next, we have Yuri Belkin. The coolest thing about Yuri Belkin is that he trains 3 times a week, I believe. I've heard that a lot. Dude is an absolute monster. He's a technical monster. And that's really cool to see in powerlifting. Even though he pulls sumo, and he does have an arch in the bench, he really is like technically and fluidly just amazing. So he's going to go, I'm going to put him in the C list here. Zlatan Vanev, I have talked about him. One of my bigger videos, actually, which is Bulgarian Training is Insane, where he attempts 205 5 times in a row. He's also the guy that tore his elbow up. There's a famous poster. Alex, please post that. There's a famous poster. It's called Grit Not Quit, and it's him missing a jerk behind him in that session. Again, this is an Iron Mind specialty. So Iron Mind is up here. Zlatan Vanev has to be up here. And then Zyzz is a god. So there we have it. I don't know why we have Klokov twice in here. So Alex, just get rid of that. There we have it, guys. There is my tier list of fitness legends. Fuck, that was fun. I am so happy that you're here with me. Look, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've had a rough few days just mentally. I've been going through some shit. And let me just say, if you're out there and you're going through some shit as well, you are a fucking legend just for making it through the day and to the next one. Just living is heroic in itself. So just keep on doing it. And as Grizzly says, whatever that is, if it's in the gym, if you're playing video games, step by step, just take the next step. Don't give up. You fucking got this. It's heroic. Like I've said, it's fucking heroic just to live and breathe. I'll see you guys in the next video.